Hi, everyone. My name is Sarah Delahaya, and I am one of the city producers for the Nashville 48-Hour Film Project.
Hi, I'm Ali El-Saleh, and I'm also a city producer for the Nashville 48 Film Project.
Today, we will be screening 5 short films made by a very talented group of filmmakers here in Nashville, all shot, directed, edited, all of it in 48 hours.
So please enjoy.
It was 2009 when I last saw Josh.
Rachel Takaro, June 23rd, 2009.
The morning after high school graduation. Josh couldn't wait to
Get out of Nashville and head straight to the sunny state of California.
I was proud of him for following his dreams, but also
Furious. She hated that I was leaving her, and honestly, I hated it too. I mean, we had been best friends since 2nd grade. We were all each other knew.
I gave him a hug goodbye, and right then and there, we made the classic promise to each other.
We promised that if in 10 years from that day both of us were still single, we were going to meet back up and fall in love.
I know, it sounds crazy, especially since we lost touch over the years, but deep down, I think we both always felt we were soulmates. And guess what?
I moved back home yesterday, and
Josh.
Rachel.
Oh, I can't believe this is happening.
I've missed you so much.
I missed you too. How's your mom?
Well, she died last year.
Oh my God.
No, it's fine. It's fine. We'll talk about it later.
Of course.
Your place is gorgeous.
Thanks. Being an interior designer helps.
It's perfect for a ton of kids.
Oh, no. No kids allowed here.
Not now, or?
Never.
Oh. Okay.
I want to get a lot of dogs, though.
Huh?
Dogs. I want a lot of dogs.
I'm allergic.
I'm so glad we're doing this. I hate dating.
What's your number?
72.
Jesus!
What?
I mean, nothing. I mean, that's great. Good for you.
Thanks. Now it's your turn. Be honest.
Okay, 4.
For T, 400.
Nope, just 4.
So, you've only slept with 2 women since high school?
Yes.
Okay, who we voted for on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Hillary.
Steven.
Did you just say Steven?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I panicked. I didn't actually vote. I don't even watch the news.
Okay.
You're so hot, Rachel.
I could be hotter.
What? The fuck?
Jesus. Oh,
What is that?
it's just frosting.
I hate cake.
What? You hate cake? Who hates cake?
I do. It's disgusting. Oh. But you know what's not disgusting?
What? I waited so long for this moment.
Me too. That's all we're thinking about.
Is it everything you hoped it would be?
No, not really.
Yeah, me either.
My lips are really dry, so I'm gonna go. Okay, just can get off my bar. Can I get my-
Sorry.
You good?
Yeah. I'm so fucking lonely.
I'm so fucking lonely.
Yeah, but it's not here. Yes, I've looked everywhere. It's not here. No. I'm only taking what the job requires. I'm so sick of pretending to be a gardener just to get access to these rich assholes' houses. If I see one more hedge, I swear to God. No. No, this is my last one. So perhaps you'd like to rephrase that. Because I've paid my debt to you and I'm done. I've been Elizabeth Green for so long, I'm honestly surprised I remember my real name. That's not part of our agreement. Look, how do you even know it's here? It could be anywhere by now. If you want to find it so bad, then maybe you should come look for it yourself. This is the one. I am busy. What? If I found it, I would have told you by now. Look, they're gonna be back any minute now, but I know they're sailing to the Hamptons tomorrow, so maybe I can wait until then and come back.
I wouldn't be too concerned about tomorrow.
Hey! Asshole!
Please state your name and occupation.
Evan Elizabeth Green. I'm a gardener.
My name's Jackie.
Lily, I'm an influencer.
My name is Melody.
Hannah. Student.
I'm Lance. I'm a farrier.
Please explain what your psychosis is.
I think I might be a pepperoni.
It's more of a preference.
Allegedly, I have anger issues.
This is no affliction.
I have OCD, ADD.
I see myself as the star of musicals at any given moment.
A preference for what?
Human flesh. I am 4 years old.
DDD, GGG, GGY. God, is your neighbor just mowing?
With an audible yes or no, do you consent to take part in this trial due to the erratic nature of your psychosis?
Yes.
Yeah, that's good.
Yes. Well, I guess.
Yes.
Yes.
That's disgusting.
Good morning, participants! Thank you for being here. We are so excited about what we're doing here today. Thank you for being here. Thank you. Hey, Ducky, get down.
What? Sorry, thank you.
So do we take these or?
Yeah, I'm confused. What's happening?
Is this the pre-trial? I thought this was a kind of meet and greet before the trial.
No. This is a trial. We're supposed to take it. Okay.
Maybe we aren't supposed to take them on an empty stomach.
Yes, do that. Take the pill. You can take it on an empty stomach, but there's quiche. No, shoot, wait, I've read the quiche. But there's croissants. No, wait, there's toast and jam.
Oh.
What are you drawing?
Oh, this? This is my Don Quixote. Family pet, best friend, general doer of good.
Don Quixote. Anybody? Any Don Quixote?
That's him.
What?
No, that's him. That's Don Quixote. My baby.
Wait, no, don't get up! Why are you getting up? You're not supposed to get up. Why are you getting up? Don't get up!
Oh, why can't he get up?
Because! What if there's side effects? I can't swallow right now. Why can't I swallow right now? Can you guys swallow anything?
I don't see him. Where's my sugar lump? Cocoa Puff? Cookie? I'll never let you go, Hote.
Why are you doing that? Why are you looking at me like that?
What's going on?
Stop! You guys are all acting like sparkles!
Psychos? Perhaps you would like to rephrase that.
Perhaps I would not.
Perhaps you would like to rephrase that. Ooh, here it comes.
Why do you have to be a brat? Why was there a cracker slap down the stairs? Up in his arms, I never want to leave.
Climoplazolina Pro is not proven to diminish hallucinations, prevent the effects of anxiety, or really do anything it's supposed to do.
Sadly.
Side effects include going batshit crazy. And Ducky, do not mix with alcohol or daily routines, but talk to your doctor if you want them to do absolutely nothing about your condition.
Wait, is that a cat?
Evan!
Is that a cat?
Eileen?
Oh, I forgot.
Here you go.
All right. See you tomorrow.
Ducky. Ducky.
Why do you think they call him the gardener?
I heard it has something to do with the flower collection he has.
That's weirdly on the nose.
Yeah. I always imagined it was some sort of deep, ethereal thing.
I mean, dogwood, hickory, oak, ash, it's all on the nose.
Oh, money tree.
Shut up! It doesn't really matter. It's almost time.
Remember, 6 minutes, in and out. Let's stick to the list.
Just go! Just go! Just go!
What in the hell was that? And why did it feel like a setup?
It's like they knew we were coming.
And they had guns. Where the hell is Dogwood, by the way?
Who just has a shitty painting of an owl on their wall?
I'm pretty sure that's a cat.
Yeah, that's a cat. It's like a beloved family pet or something.
Well, I call it.
You call what?
I call the painting. It's mine.
It doesn't matter what the painting is. That's not the fucking point.
So what is the point?
Dogwood. What happened to you? We thought you were dead.
I got tipped off. Something didn't sit quite right with our boss. Gardner hasn't been entirely truthful about why we were at the bank. I heard this story, right? A few years back, some guys were hired for this Vegas casino job. Started out simple, just casing a joint. You know, just 2 guys assembled a whole crew, 11 total. Before the start of it, one of the guys figured out this was all about a woman. But they went ahead and did the job anyway. And eventually came up with all the money and the girl.
Well, what does that have to do with anything?
Sometimes a person's most prized possession isn't the most obvious one. Our gardener's real name is Evan Green. This metal box is his.
Where did you get those keys?
You'd be surprised what you can get when you pull a gun to someone's head.
I don't get it. The stupid rusty tool.
Perhaps he would like to rephrase that. When I was a kid, I spent summers with my grandmother. She would wake me up early every morning. So early that the sun wasn't even out yet. She would get up, make coffee, best coffee, and then we'd go outside. The air was so...
You had coffee? As a kid? The same leg?
crisp. The air was crisp. We would go out to her garden. She grew everything. You name it, she grew it. Tomatoes, cantaloupes, peppers, oh, God, peppers. She had beautiful flowers, award-winning. I remember the day that she said, I'm going to teach you how to prune. She said, we must find the weak points, the ones that can't stand on their own, the ones that are holding back the plant from being whole. She said, we've got to find these parts so that the rest can be healthy.
What does any of that have to do with us?
Oh my God!
Cash is in the bag. Do what you want with it. The shears are mine.
Hey! Was this all just a game to you?
A game? A game? No! Grandma said the hardest part was the pruning.
Okay. We have Stephen Mendelsohn. He didn't take the money.
He did take the banana.
Did you see the way he just picked up the Golf Digest when the doctor arrived? Seems like it's pretty cut and dry, ladies. Are we all in agreement?
Yes, ma'am.
It's settled.
Mr. Mendelsohn, you're being discharged.
I haven't seen my doctor yet.
After reviewing your file, we realized that that isn't necessary.
Not necessary? I don't follow.
You don't need to follow.
America's healthcare system is screwed.
No, Mr. Mendelsohn, you're screwed.
Sir. Oh, there you are. I've had a nosebleed for 4 hours. My dad said we had to go to the doctor because we were heading to a Cardi B concert. And Mom said we couldn't because
Who?
Cardi B.
No, who are you? And where am I?
We're at St. Peter's.
Okay. How did I get here?
I don't know how you got here, but as my daughter said, we were headed to the arena to see that artist. Honey, what was her name? Carbon D?
Cardi
B.
Are you sure about that? That's not the way I heard it.
Excuse me. Excuse me, ladies.
Nurses.
Right, I'm sorry. Nurse.
Carter.
Carter.
Yes, sir.
Okay, Nurse Carter. Can you explain to me how I got here and why my arm is in a sling?
Sir, please have a seat and await further instruction. Someone will be with you as soon as possible.
You can't just not tell me how I got here. Isn't it your job to assist me?
Listen, sir, we know what our job is. You were brought in a half hour ago, and your file is being processed. There's no need to lash out at Nurse Carter. As she said, please have a seat and await further instruction. There are snacks at the refreshment table.
Sir, are you gonna eat that banana?
Oh, no, man. It's all yours.
Like, you sure?
Yeah, I'm not that hungry.
Thank you, thank you. I mean, I really appreciate this. I haven't eaten in 10,000 years.
Yeah, no problem. Miss? You dropped something. Oh. Here you go.
Jeez, thanks so much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
This is the money that I was going to use to buy 20 individual lotto tickets right in front of a person just trying to get gas.
Oh. You're welcome.
Puppy!
What the hell?
Oh, Dr. Michael Pepperdrip. He's our resident cuddle collector.
Okay. Seems pretty unsanitary, but he is pretty cute, right?
Good boy.
Thomas Higgins?
Well, oh, looks like they're ready for me. See you, kid.
Thank you for your patience. I'm Nurse Gabriella. I understand that you've had a wild day.
And I don't really remember what's happening, so can you tell me what's going on?
How do I put this? Over the last minute or so, you have faced a series of tests with the help of guardian angels to steer you in the right direction. These tests were designed to get a bird's eye view of the integrity of our patients. You see, today, you were involved in a potentially fatal accident. At St. Peter's, we decide whether our patients' eternal fate is sealed or whether we will allow them to continue on the journey of life. We have found you to be honest, full of integrity, and more importantly, a dog person. Woof. After a quick conference with Nurse Thompson and Nurse Carter, we find you guilty of only a little bit of mansplaining. While understandable given the circumstances, we would love for you to work on that.
Okay.
Aside from that, we've decided that the world is better with you in it. Let's get you back to your life. Congratulations, Thomas.
Whoa! That was some fall you almost had there, buddy. Yeah, you could have cracked your head wide open. Yeah. I got somewhere to be, but I'll see you later, all right? Okay.
See you, kid.
Hello.
Hey, all right. I say just one round of applause for all the films that we just
Yes.
screened.
I know it's crazy because I've seen those all of those films several times, and each time it blows me away that they were made in 48 hours.
Yeah.
Like, it's so impressive. It really, like, what you can do is wild. So thanks for sharing and for being here. I'm going to have you guys just kind of go down the line and introduce yourselves and let us know what your role was on which project. And I'll start with you.
I'm Jeremiah Dunlap. I directed and starred with much shorter hair in Waiting Room.
I'm just gonna hold the whole thing. I'm Seth. I was the DP and colorist on Waiting Room.
I'm Kimmy Most, and I worked on Hedge Fund.
And I'm Chris Hollow, and I also worked on Hedge Fund.
I'm Fallon Gurko, and I acted in and did wardrobe for Breakfast with Eileen.
I am Nicole Lim. I directed Breakfast with Eileen.
I'm Dusty Barker. I wrote and directed and edited Immersive Guide to Pruning.
I'm Andrew Mayer, and I did post-sound on ISFL.
Amazing.
Yeah.
You guys are all, it's wild. It's wildly talented group here. So the 48, there are a lot of rules. There are a lot of things to know. And so the 48 starts, and the things that you can do ahead of time are form your team, scout locations, and look at equipment and figure out what you're going to use for the day. But that's essentially it. So I'd love to hear, starting with my Dunlap brothers, how you went about, like, the first year that you did the 48, kind of putting your team together. Did you know you wanted a big crew, or what was the process like for you guys?
Yeah, we were kind of in the process of like doing a ton of corporate work, and we wanted to do something creative. So we were actually at an acting studio in town, Fourth Wall, and we just knew a ton of filmmakers, and we were like, man, we just want to do the 48 this year, do something creative together. And we pulled a team, and we found that hospital, which was like a big surprise before. And we were like, wow, we can shoot here for, a few $100 for a few hours. So we, formed the team and got everyone together, and we were like, you guys want to do this? Let's do this creative, crazy thing together.
And a lot of us, it was our first time, like Corey, who wrote it, it was his first time writing anything. Yeah. So a lot of us, it was a lot of first timers on here. I had never acted on screen with dialogue. I had walked around in the woods before, but that's like, it was a big movement. We had been wanting to do a dialogue project, and Seth had been pushing me for years to do something narrative, and I kept saying no.
I was like, you can do it. You can use your voice on screen. It will work. I promise.
I can't. It doesn't work. So this was an excellent opportunity for us to be like, well, no matter what, it'll be over in 2 days. So.
Right.
And as the first time you guys had done it, did you have awareness of what kind of team you needed to pull together? Or was it a lot of, okay, after the kickoff started, I will find what I need?
Well, thankfully, Seth is a big, nice guy that makes a lot of friends. And so he kind of had this, you had a Rolodex of people that you had wanted to work with, and that we had, like you said, we had been on a bunch of corporate shoots. So we kind of had a team locked. What we didn't have until Nashville and getting to the Fourth Wall was a great pool of actors. So that was the huge thing for us, is we felt like for the first time we had really talented people that we could actually put on screen, that weren't talking about like a credit card APR rate or something.
Which is still necessary.
It's still necessary, and it made it in. We had to cut it. It was a scene.
Just for time.
Yeah, of course.
And Chris and Kimmy, I'm curious because you guys did it with a small group, right? So what was the thinking behind that?
Go ahead.
Yeah, Chris had reached out to me when he was thinking about doing the 48, and he called me and he was like, I kind of want to do something crazy and very simple for the 48 this year. I'm thinking a team of 2 people, so it would just be you and me. And I was like, Okay,
I felt
sure.
that hesitation when I called you. Are you sure you want to try this?
Well, I feel like a very inexperienced filmmaker, so I was like, I can help out where I can, but so a lot of it was Chris. We used his studio in his backyard, and he had everything there that we needed, so it ended up working out really well.
I was in the middle of shooting a feature film, and I knew I didn't want to do a 30-person cast crew thing. So I was like, what else can I try? And Kimmy actually auditioned for one of the roles in our film. And I knew when she didn't make and ultimately wasn't chosen for the role, I was like, that's somebody I want to work with. So Kimmy was the first person, you're the only person I called about trying this, and it worked out really good.
Very cool. So that was sort of an intentional thought before you were even putting the actual shoot together.
I didn't want to do a big production because I was in the middle of a big production. And so I was like, how simple can I make this? And I'm not an actor, so.
Yeah, so the whole idea was just to make it as simple as we could and still have a quality short film at the end.
Yeah. And Kimmy did win Best Actress last year, so it certainly paid off.
Yes.
And I think we also wanted to make sure you guys were on the panel just because we now have gotten a lot of sort of messages from filmmakers, actors, sort of separate roles that have been like, okay, well, I don't really have a team together. What can I do? And this is a great way to be like, okay, well, you can still do something with an iPhone and a camera. Now that's what you guys do, but something as simple as that.
I believe there was actually another 2-person team last year as well. Lexi Nimmo's team. Yeah. So it can be done with very little personnel and resources.
And we did our film was a oneer, so
yeah,
we just ran through it 8 or 9 times and picked our favorite, and we're done.
I love that. That's so cool. That's so cool. And I'm curious, Nicole, I was on your team, so I remember the process, but I remember you had a ton of actors who you wanted to work with. And was that kind of, you were like, I want an actor forward 48?
Yeah, I made the decision to put it around a table, which was not smart. I don't recommend doing that because you're dealing with eye lines the majority of the day. But I've just been surrounded by so many people through the last several years I've been in the industry that are just so talented, and I've always wanted to just like let them just be themselves and be creative and kind of like pull that out of people. And this was a really good space to do that. I mean, the room was like completely empty, and it was just a bunch of people just being real weird.
I forget how horrifying I am in
It's amazing.
Like, I'm so embarrassed.
It's amazing. And the thing about it that was crazy to me is we have so much footage that didn't even make it in because we just like let it go and let the people just do the things that they do best. And that one, I love that about being a director, but also for the 48 specifically, it was just so good to have so much options, so many options, but also it did make the edit take a little longer.
Yeah, but you did it.
We did it.
And same for Dusty. This was your second film in a row that you were doing, and I remember the film before that was a much smaller crew and smaller cast, and with this one you decided to go a bigger sort of ensemble. What was the thought there?
I don't know. If I'm being honest, the first year we did it with Seth, and thank God for Seth, because we had basically Mike and I were the ones who like too experienced that first year, and then we had other people helping. And I think coming out of that first year, going into the second one, like we had people that really wanted to participate, which was great. Like I just wanted everyone that we could possibly get to like come help. And an ensemble is a really tough thing to film in 48 hours and edit. It's just so many different things to try and work into an edit, and then also from like a sound perspective, getting that many pieces of dialogue and it all working and then being able to edit all that together is tough. So I think going into it, it was, we drew dark comedy both of those years. In the second year, I took a cue from like Reservoir Dogs, and then I knew that we had 5 actors lined up and I wanted to use all of them. And so like that's the best way I could think to sort of incorporate a story was to put everyone in one room and consolidate space. Yeah.
Yeah. And Andrew, I'm curious, every year, do you have just everyone looking for you to help them with their post sound? I feel like sound is just one of those things that's so important, and I can't imagine that people aren't just like, can you please be on my team this year?
That's actually a funny question, yeah, because I usually do get a lot of asks for that, and I know people want me to do it this year too, but I'm actually out of town, and so I'm not going to be able to do it. But I'm actually the interesting thing about sound is that I do have people ask me, but I feel like part of that isn't necessarily because it's so important, but it's because there's not a lot of, I think, skilled post sound people in Nashville. So many people want to shoot and act and be. It's interesting because it doesn't translate from music, right? Like there's lots of great, talented music engineers, but post is a different animal because mostly you're dealing with how do I make this noise not be bad, right? Like, and so that's a really interesting. It requires a whole different skill set. So yeah, it's always interesting getting those questions and having conversations with people about it.
Totally. So, kickoff day, right around the corner. Very exciting. It's the day where you get you pull your 2 genres. You find out what the required line of dialogue, what the prop is, the character name. It's very fun. And so, I'm curious, and we can decide who we want to start with, but kickoff day, like, what's going through your mind? What are you thinking when you pull your genres? Are you automatically like, panicking, or are you ready to go?
Yeah, and for those people that don't know, the genres, there's a list of however many there are, I think 20 or 30. You pull 2, and then you get to decide between the 2. Or some people mix them together and make a hybrid. But that's really sort of the way to keep us all, in the same sort of datum line of, all right, come Friday, this is what you have. So yeah, open it up to.
Sure. Dusty, you said you got dark comedy 2 years in a row, so were you like
luck?
Yes.
Yeah. Because what you pull, the 2 genres. I don't even remember like what the second one was from those dark comedies, and I think that is
and then comedy.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, the first one was just dark. Yeah, musical. Oh my god. The genre thought is just nerve-wracking. I remember when you guys pulled comedy, and I was like, "Oh, that's so perfect!" Like,
I freaked out. I was so excited. I was like, "Yes!"
Yeah, it because you can be as prepared as possible going into it, but you kind of just have to be okay with whatever happens, and then be really okay with adjusting things on the fly. I mean, and that to me is just like the 48 in a nutshell is. Like, you can have a rough idea of plans and then be okay with throwing them out completely and just going with what you got. And that to me is the entire genre pulling concept. Like, you can be ready, but, good luck.
You might get musical, so.
You might get musical.
We planned for a musical.
Or
I will say that. There was a part of me that I was like, but like the night before I was like, my partner Lindsay, I was like, should we just no matter what, we'll have a musical moment. And she's like, you're insane, but sure.
Well, the funny part for me is that with ISFL, our second genre was silent film. So I had 6 guys on my sound team that we were just waiting around to go, well, maybe we don't have to work tomorrow.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and I was just talking to somebody as far as, if you pull sort of the silent film, or the ones that are sort of less wanted, there's a lot of room for innovation to be able to say, okay, well, no one's really done this. Can we do something wild and awesome, and with the right team, pull something that can be really memorable? I want to just go, what are the other genres you guys pulled that we just saw?
We pulled film de femme.
Okay.
We were hoping that we would not get road trip. We were like, I guess we can park the car in front of the hospital, I guess.
So yeah, we got really lucky because we knew we had the great actors that we had, and so when we had a genre that was kind of pushing the female energy of our cast to the front. We had kind of already planned for it to be, you know, like one dude being led around by a cast of like women who knew a lot more than him. So it worked
Which is
out.
Jeremiah's
Yeah, it's
everyday
my
life.
whole life. So yeah, I'm not a very good actor. So yeah, so but we were, you know, I think the 48 is an exercise in flexibility, like Dusty said. Like we were kind of prepared no matter what. I think, you know, one of the rules is you can kind of pre-scout locations, and so we were like, okay, we found this hospital, and in my brain I was like, okay, well the location is somewhere between heaven and hell. Like that was, you know, as far as I could go with the concept in my brain. It's like this hospital is somewhere between heaven and hell, so whatever we get is going to have to exist somewhere between heaven and hell. And that's it worked out really well. But we were prepared, like, okay, well, if we get musical or if we get, you know, drama, we were just hoping we could be funny with it, because we're much better at being funny than we are at being serious. So we got very lucky. I feel like the creative muse and the gods is like looking out for all the creatives who do the 48. And whether you know it or not, the genre you get is the one you need.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. What did you guys have?
We had crime gangster.
Oh, nice.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yes. And going into it, we were worried because there was only one actor, and we were worried we were going to get buddy film, which there's some fun things you can do with that probably, but for sure.
Yeah. Stuck by me.
But we had the idea of using the two-way mirror in any sort of genre kind of idea going into it. So
we were going to bend it somehow.
yeah, we were going to make it work. And I think the other option we chose was climate. Is that a genre? Climate?
Probably. The list is pretty expansive and interesting. So there's some
I know
wild,
nothing about that, so it certainly was going to be whatever other option we had.
Usually one works out better than the other.
Yeah, totally.
So with kickoff, like we said, you've got the genres, and then you have the prop, the line of dialogue, and the character name, which we don't even know yet, and that gets passed down to us from
powers that be.
The powers that be. And so I think that loops us into the writing process of how that goes in. How did you guys sort of feel the fit of those mandated things?
Genres?
Yeah. Things that you had to do for the writing process. Yeah, as far as the prop and things like that. Because it's clear to when you're watching the film, you're like, okay, I think that line had to be, well, especially when you're watching in the screening and the same line gets repeated, and it's funny to see how people figure out ways to use it. But yeah, Nicole found.
I can start. I've been doing the 48 on various teams for like 5 years, on and off. But I feel like the hardest one is always the line. To make the line fit with your tone and your style of writing is so hard, and it's always so fun to see how people incorporate that. I personally love learning what all the different things are that we have to do, because it gives you some kind of a parameter to work in with the genre as well. Just having, because sometimes have a creative space that's just open to do whatever is really hard. And having those things just give you like a little bit of a direction, and you can go crazy with it. It's really fun.
And there's really no sort of rules to those, as long as they're on screen and are mentioned, sometimes that's enough. But the really innovative ones are the ones that are really fun.
Yeah. I'm curious. It seems like this film had a lot of room for improvisation. What the heck?
That's it.
Improv.
Yes.
Nice. Good job.
Thanks so much. And so, did you when you were writing, did you think like it's kind of loose, but
We had beats that we had to hit, and then, but it was pretty much all in the script. But Fallon was the one they were feeding off of. We actually had her on the other side of the camera as Eileen, so she was doing. There weren't lines for you. There was like 2 or 3 that you had to do, but.
Yeah, I think I had a couple lines that that just came to life. Oh my God. I had a couple lines that we definitely needed to hit, but most of the interactions, especially at the top, were just like improving, just having like little yes and funny moments with each other, which was very delightful. It was fun. And then a lot of the voiceover stuff done at the end, I remember we did like the day that the film was due, right?
Like 3
in
hours
a
before.
closet I get a frantic text from Nicole, and she's like, "You have to come back over here. We have to do this right now." And so like I came over, and we just kind of improv'd fun names of medications and what they could do for you, and that was really delightful.
Into my cell phone.
Into
Like
her
literally
cell
like
phone.
audio message, and then
Yeah.
you just export it, and it sounds awesome.
Believe it or not, big budget films do that.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
No, it's great.
When you're in a pinch, actors on another set, they're not available to come in for ADR. Yeah, they'll shoot stuff on a phone.
Oh my God,
that's amazing.
We're so professional.
wow. Yeah,
Yeah.
pros. Pros.
Films happen
Amazing.
outside of 48 hours. This is news to me.
Yeah, there's apps that you can get that will you can load the film in and do it. Yeah, in sync.
Drop the app.
Uh-huh.
I know about to say. Send the link.
I was like, this is going to turn into an AI conversation.
Yeah, wow, there you go.
Yeah, Dustin, Andrew, as far as the writing process, how was that for you guys?
Well, mine's pretty easy in that I'm not involved with that, but I am thinking about it. Like in ISFL, I think the cake was the prop that year. And so I'm thinking about sounds related to the props or whatever. And obviously the line of dialogue, it's the first line I will tackle every time when I'm going to do dialogue cleanup is how do I make this line as clean and as precise as possible? Because you don't want it to be missed because it's buried under noise or somebody else talking or whatever. So that's always what I'm thinking about is those things and how do I make those as obvious? Our film prior to this one, there was a football. And so I went in and recorded footballs, I recorded different sounds for football to have them ready to go after they were, while they were shooting. I'm preparing sounds related to those things. So.
It's really nice to have somebody like Andrew on your team. I'm realizing that more and more and more as we did not. Did you guys? Somebody was actively doing the sound work prior to. The line of dialogue is tough. To put that into a script and make it sound like it's supposed to be in that script, you hit the nail on the head there. I think that is, I don't know, both times I just we had the script and then it was it feels like it fits here, as you were just going through the lines. And Moiba said it in that one, and it was we knew we needed a change in the tone of whatever was happening, so it just sort of fit there. And then in post, it was making sure that we could actually hear whatever that was, because that was important. But the other two aren't as difficult, the prop and the the character and whatever. But I think it's always better when you get creative with that versus it just being blatantly there. So
yeah, and Kimmy's and Chris, I love that the prop sort of was part of the storytelling, and because I was sitting there waiting for when are they going to show this beloved family pet, and the fact that it was the turn at the end.
I think that's one of the harder for me. That's one of the harder things is actually finding the prop. And if we're going to be giving tips and tricks, it's I would assign somebody that role right off the bat so that you can start writing and have somebody try to acquire the thing, because that's not always easy to find the thing. And as far as the line of dialogue, I prefer to write the film without it and then figure out where you can put it. Because if you try to write around it, it won't be as good, in my opinion.
Although I do think we did one or two takes without the line in it, and I was we don't even have the line in here.
That's right.
And we had to go back and
figure out where to put it.
Yeah.
What was y'all's prop?
We had our prop was a football. Our line of dialogue was "That's not the way I heard it," and our character name was Michael Pepperdrip, which we made the dog. But I mean, I really actually I liked the. I mean, Corey was my co-collaborator. Actually wrote the script, but we really liked it because it feels like really good practice for getting like bad studio notes. So when like someone asks you to put something, and that has happened to us a lot in editing for corporate gigs, they're like, oh, I want this shot in, or I want
like why no, this is terrible.
And so it actually feel like I didn't really understand the purpose of it, other than it's just a fun challenge. But I think it actually did teach us that like you're gonna get things from people that you don't necessarily like want as a part of your creative like vision. That's your little vacuum. And that kind of forces you to figure out how to integrate outside input into your project naturally. So it was a really fun challenge. We did the same thing where we kind of wrote it first and just got through the story and then tried to figure out like where those little details could get worked in, which I think is kind of how you would do studio notes too. You know, you do your own thing and then you try to work it in. Because I think when we first got them, we were a little bit like, okay, well, football, what could football mean? Like maybe football, like the president carries around a football that's got the codes for the nuclear, you know, that's like what it's called. So we kind of got a little wild. We're like, okay, let's tell our story and then let's figure out how to get it in there.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, I guess with the writing process, moving into shooting, I want to ask Fallon as well. Awesome stylist, wardrobe extraordinaire. How you guys work together, and this is sort of lead into the other roles of the film, how that was part of the writing process and figuring out the characters through style, through wardrobe.
Through a tinfoil suit.
Through the tinfoil suit. Well, I think that wardrobe is such an, I think, underrated, I think it flies under the radar as a huge narrative tool. It's a world-building tool, just like a prop is a world-building tool or a great script or a great character. And when you're thinking about wardrobe, thinking about what like getting into the mindset of a character and what they would choose to put on at the beginning of a day, why they would choose that thing, I just think that it helps to elevate a narrative so much. And also it just makes it visually beautiful. So I think when working on this with Nicole, it kind of happened naturally a little bit because as I came in, it was just like, we've got all of these characters and we need to figure this out. And if you notice at the end of the film, Eileen, who has made these characters up in her head, was wearing a distinct piece from everybody sitting at the table. And so there was a little bit of, we need to take what she has already at her disposal and project it onto the characters that she's created in her head. And then the tinfoil suit was just like a stroke of happy luck, honestly.
I had gone to the Frist the day before.
Yeah.
And then they had
that's
the
right.
knights.
And they had the knights. That's right.
And I saw it and I was like,
That's
oh my
right.
gosh, that'd be so funny if somebody was like, I think I'm a knight, and they just put,
Yeah. And that was that I think probably, speaking of sound, was probably the worst possible thing that we could have done for sound. Just hearing Baron walking through going whoosh, 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 all day. It was horrible.
We just embraced it.
But it was fun.
Yeah, so a way to like help with something like that would be to just record him walking around in the suit, so that way you can keep that kind of stuff consistent, and then it's less jarring when it just cuts in, right? So it's like that's just Foley, right?
This man knows what he's talking about.
Let's reshoot it.
Fantastic.
That's what I would be looking for. Like I actually go, even though I do post sound, I don't do production sound typically. I've done it in the past, but I'll go to set just to see things like that. What are they shooting? What's the location like? What is everybody wearing? Do I need to get a leather jacket or something like that, or a bunch of aluminum foil, right? Like, there's lots of things that you can prepare for that just by watching what's going on. Yeah.
Totally. I'm curious. The next element that I kind of want to talk about is how you manage your time, right? It's the 48-hour film project, so you have a finite amount of time. And Jeremiah shared with me the shooting schedule, and so I'm curious if you could talk a little bit about how you planned out the shooting day and the editing day, because it was very specific, and I feel like probably a huge reason why you guys were able to do what you're able to do.
Yeah, planning is free, and you can do kind of an infinite amount of it, and the more you do before, the easier it is when you get there, and so. That was, I think, kind of, if anyone asks, like, what was the secret code for how you pulled off? Because we had a lot of cast members. We had a lot of different locations, a lot of setup, and a lot of different goals we wanted to hit. And planning was really the secret sauce that made all of that possible. I created a shooting schedule that really broke down our 48 hours into, like, 15 to 30-minute increments, and a lot of it had overlap, so we knew that while our writer was writing for his 4-hour block, that we would, as the production team, have 4 hours to plan all the equipment and all of that
Shot
stuff.
list and all that stuff.
So I think getting as absolutely detailed as you can ahead of time makes all the difference in the world, because then when inevitably stuff is it's gonna fall apart. Like, no matter what, you're gonna plan everything and stuff is gonna go wrong. You just can't control the universe, like stuff is gonna go crazy. But if you've got a plan, you know how much time you have to improvise. You know how much time you have to change. And you know, like, okay, cool, if we're gonna shoot an extra 30 minutes here, that means we have 30 minutes less in editing. So how are we gonna make that up in editing? And so if you know that stuff ahead of time, it's much easier to let stuff kind of crack apart when you know, like, okay, well, we can cut this out and we can send these people to return costumes at the same time as we're like dumping all the footage. And so you can, when you have it laid out in a linear, like, there's no surprises. There was not a single, for us, like, certainly there's a lot of surprising things we didn't expect, but there was no time unaccounted for, and every single team member knew at every moment where they were expected to be. And we also had the people planned on reserve. So it's like, if this person drops, you're the second contact for this. And so having backups, not only for your data and dropping things, but also for people. Like, especially people are working for free for this thing, and a lot of times life happens. We had 2 of our actors drop last minute, but we had actors on reserve, like, ready to go, that knew, like, hey, you're on the crew, but we might need you to be on camera. So if that's the case, you'll have this much warning. So yeah, for us, I mean, you can talk a little bit about the production side of it, because
it helps with the production side extremely. But I think there's like this, frantic feeling of the 48 where it's like, all right, we just launched, we're just gonna go for it. But like what Jeremiah said, like we had the full production team together, and we're like, hey, let's just sit down and just kind of map out like exactly what we're gonna be doing. But yeah, it definitely helped the camera side out a ton, because I knew that, like, all right, they're writing right now, so I can meet with the gaffer. We can kind of like pre-light these setups, and it definitely it helped the entire process.
Anyone else have sort of a scheduling set for it, or was it sort of gun-ho, everyone go? Yeah.
I mean, I have a plan for data, like how you're going to deal with where you're going to put it, who's going to do it, because that, I feel like, can take a lot longer than you think it's going to. That's always something that I've seen multiple years, where people just get into trouble because they're like, this is taking forever. So make sure you have your hard drives and all that, because
I feel like also too, with the 48, people are like, all right, let's shoot like 6K, 8K, make it look amazing. And it's like, we shot ours in 1080p, and my camera can shoot 8K. And I was like, let's just make it easier on us and not have to like fill up hard drives, because it's going to slow everything down. It's going to slow the computers down. It's going to be nervous to like, try to render all this stuff at once. So yeah, if you can, you don't have to shoot the most highest res, just make sure that you have good performers and focus on the story.
And I would say too, like, we did a lot of pre-production meetings with as many people as we could, just coming over to house. We screened I went through and like found all the 48s that I loved, and we just got together and just watched other 48s that had gone. We liked, like, I think Matki Daps had won the year before us, and we just like watched it and analyzed it. And something too that, like, when we were talking about the writing and the planning, it's like, well, why don't we just come up with a story that happens in real time? Like, find a location, like a car wash was another thing. We're like, what's like an experience that's like 3 to 5 minutes long that the human mind is used to seeing? A waiting room, you're in that for a few minutes, So that was really helpful for us, like finding an environment where the viewer is used to just being there for that real time and not trying to cut a really long story into a really short amount of time.
Yeah, while we were watching reference films for our 48, Haven was there, the little girl, and like this really scary one came on, and she was like, oh my God. And like her mom was there. We were like, we're so sorry. We didn't know this one was a scary one. It was definitely a traumatizing moment. So just make sure if you have reference films, don't have kids around that are for the scary ones specifically.
Core memory. Yeah, I mean, the 48 starts 7 p.m. Friday, and then it ends turning in at 7 p.m. Sunday. So I know a lot of people have structured it to where, all right, we'll write Friday night, we'll shoot Saturday day, we'll edit Saturday night to Sunday morning. Is that sort of a pretty standard template? Yeah, I think overall.
We had DITs on set, which I would highly recommend. Just having someone with a laptop that can dump your camera cards like in real time. That
And sync
really
the
helped,
audio
and
and
sync
everything.
the audio. Like that really helped in our editing process, not having to go through and do all the audio syncing and capturing room tone on set. Like have someone just be quiet for 2 minutes, get room tone. Like that'll really help audio as well. So yeah.
That's cool. I'm curious if you guys, with last year, with it being like just the two of you, was there any point in the edit or in the shooting where you guys were like, the time, we're running out of,
Actually, no.
Yeah.
No, we kind of subscribe to the write it Friday, shoot it Saturday, edit Sunday thing, which is pretty common. But so we wrote Friday night. We did the kickoff, wrote it Friday night. Didn't take that long. I went to the hardware store Saturday morning to start building the set. We met at noon, and we were done by 5. And then we turned the film in by 2 o'clock on Sunday, because it was a wonder. I just had to.
That's amazing.
I had to make it pretty and all the audio and.
The thing that took the longest was probably getting the automated track for the camera.
Yeah.
Because it kept getting stuck and then it wouldn't go. So that took longer than
We
I
blew
think
a few
had
takes that way,
expected.
for
yeah,
sure.
and getting the lighting.
Yeah.
I did not know
Just
that was a
right.
green screen. I was like, wait, that was a green screen? Totally thought that was like a living room.
That was kind of
Brushed it.
that was kind of the plan, was to make it a surprise at the end, and we just knew that we were shooting it in the studio, so we had to build a set. And I went and got took a picture of a bedroom at an open house, and just made that the background.
That's awesome.
So awesome. That's so cool. That's so cool.
I will say one thing too. There's paperwork that you have to do, and there is specific slides that need to go at certain places in the edit. You need like time for that, because it's not something that you're used to doing, and like you're waiting on people to send you their signatures, or if you didn't get them the day before, just have that as part of your plan to because it can sneak up on you, and that can make you late.
Yes, the paperwork element is something that I think truly people often forget about until the last minute. So adding that to your plan is brilliant, because there is a lot of paperwork to be filled out. So don't forget about it.
Can I jump back to editing just for a quick second? If I had a film like you guys, where I had where you had a big crew, big cast, I would make sure you had your editor starting to edit, like your DIT, start pushing files to your editor so that they can start cutting it. If you hold all your footage until, midnight on Saturday and expect them to cut it Sunday, you're really kind of hurting the whole team. So let them start cutting immediately. As it's shot, start cutting it.
Dusty, I know you had one for our film, right? You had DIT.
We did have DIT, yeah, and actually that's a massive help. That's a really good suggestion, because somebody that can at least lay down the audio tracks and match that up. I think the 48 is a really good chance to, as you're building a team, you understand people's strengths and weaknesses, as a leader should, and you understand well, this we can do here, this we can do here, because we've got XYZ. Like in my normal life, I'm a director, editor, so when I shoot, I know I'm shooting for specific shots, and I know when I've got them, so when I go into the edit, I know what I can pull. So I know whatever amount of time we took for the actual filming, I knew I could make up time in the edit, because I'm really quick at that. So sound design was our biggest folly, and that is I think we had a pick lock at 10 a.m. so I could send out to composer and then sound, and the rest of my Sunday was spent on sound design, and we turned ours in with 4 minutes to spare, and I lost hair. My hair was much longer. Yeah, woof, guys, don't do that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Sometimes it happens.
Now, before the pandemic, for the panorama, you had to physically turn in the CDs. So there was there were DVD CDs. So there was that time too, to just sort of run into the door and throw it in the bin. So now obviously we have digital turn-ins. That gives us that time. I think people are abusing it to a point of all right, we got to get it in. Because I remember the file size was pretty massive, and that sort of.
Oh yeah, I remember I clicked. Like one of the most nerve-wracking moments in my entire life was we had exported it once, and I knew it took about like 12 minutes to get that out. And another thing was like we shot 6K. We needed the full sensor size. And then when I started that final export, I started it at like 7:10. It's due at 7:30, and it popped up 45 minutes, and I was like, is there any way I can turn in the previous version of this film? And I literally walked outside, and Mike was just like sitting there, and I was just like walking laps around my apartment. I was like, I can't do anything. And I saw it click down.
Gotta love those bad ETAs on files, rendering and stuff.
Yeah. And you just like stand there and you're kind of watching it and you're like, is it going slower because I'm watching it? Oh my gosh. I'm curious. So something that I think is really important on sets just in general is creating an environment that is safe and is welcoming and is as positive as it can be. But then you add on top of this with the 48, you've got these kind of insane time constraints and people are lacking sleep and there's just a lot to be done. So I'm curious kind of what it was like for all of you and how you worked on set while you were all really tired and also really excited. So we can just start with you guys.
I mean, Seth and I have a tradition, whenever we're like, okay, everything's kind of set up, we're all good. We pull the whole crew together.
And we slap them all in the face.
We hit them all in the face. We just punch them,
Get them really warmed up.
There's more where this came from if you don't do your job. We get them together and we just like remind everyone like, hey, we're here to have fun.
Mm-hmm.
Like
we're all
this
pretending this is going to be so much fun.
Like we're here to have fun. We have plenty of time. Like let's just pretend that there's not this insane deadline. Like we can't control that. We've planned it as much as we can. We have plenty of time. So I think if you just remind people that like this is fun. We've even done that on much larger sets with much bigger things at stake than just like enjoying ourselves. Like it really does help to remind people of that because it's easy to get swept away with the stress and look back at it and be like, God, I'm glad I did it, but never again. And that's not a feeling you want to walk away from something like this having.
I think it's because we've been on so many sets where like people are just so stressed out, and then the product is way worse because like everyone was just not having a good time, and it translated through the camera. So like the more that you can kind of push positive energy, everyone's going to do better, and your actors are going to do better.
And reminding people that like, hey, stuff's going to go wrong. Like stuff's going to break, lights are going to fall, like we're going to drop lines. Like that's okay. That is a part of the discovery process. Like, just like plan for it to happen that way, and we won't be surprised when it does. And then just feed people. Like give people good food.
That's what I was going to say.
Not pizza.
Not
no
pizza. Get orders ahead of time. Like find out dietary restrictions. Like have more than just bottled water. Like like people's the morale of a set goes up. Like that is the cheapest way to make a morale skyrocket. It's like just invest a few more dollars in good. Crafty.
Just throw it on a credit card.
Yeah.
Pay it later.
It's not real. It's not real.
Credit cards are actually free money.
Yeah.
It's free money.
That's the biggest lesson I'd say. We fed people, have coffee in the mornings and, whatever, you can have lunch, dinner, even when people even if you're not on set, if you've helped, come hang out on set and eat with us. Like meals do so much to help morale. Like invest your time and money into getting really good meals.
To be clear, this is a 48-hour tips and tricks, not a fiscally responsible.
You will go broke. You will go broke.
It'll be fun.
And that is a responsibility that goes on team leaders and directors, to sort of, in the real world as well, to sort of get the morale of the set going. How did you two sort of not go at each other's throat?
It was easy.
I mean, ultimately, you're in charge of how complicated you make your day. I mean, within a 10 or 20% fringe kind of a room for error, but ultimately you're in control of how hard your day is. So we just made a decision to make our day pretty easy.
Yeah. Love that.
Nicole,
I would disagree with that.
I think part of it's maybe you don't have control. I mean, you have a little bit of control over how hard your day is, but you have control over how you react to how hard your day is. I think that's part of it.
Yeah, and trusting the people that you've put on your team. Just say, whatever I said during the 48, I don't really mean it. Like, they know you,
Yeah.
hopefully. And if not, you buy them a bottle of alcohol.
There you go.
It really
Mini
works.
snack. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or a non-alcoholic beverage, whatever you want.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know that week after the weekend, it's like everyone's just sort of de-stressing and
Yeah,
losing.
well, I will say it does feel a lot like if you want to know if a relationship is going to work with someone, like go on a road trip or like go to a theme park and you'll find out real quick. And it does feel like the 48, like the people that are in the 48, like, I mean, we did that in 2018. We were still actively working with almost everyone that worked on that film in like really close capacities. And a lot of them we didn't know like that well before that. So I'd say it really does bond you to your team in a way that other productions don't typically do.
That's great. I love that. Dusty Boy, any tips and tricks on seeing friends?
Honestly, Jeremiah and Seth, I think, hit it. They, I think as a director, nice job, guys. As a director, a team leader, the most important thing you can do is control the tone of the set, and that will directly reflect whatever product you get. And I think it's like the buck stops with you sort of thing at all times, right? Like, if you have decisions to make them. Like, do right by people, always work harder than everyone else. And I think that's a good tone that I've always tried to set, which is like, what we're going through sucks, and it will be over in a matter of hours. But we're going to do this, and we're going to get through it, and whatever we've got to do to get through it, like, I'll do whatever I've got to. And I think that, like, as a team leader, you have to carry that mentality of, like, we're going to win.
Yeah, the interesting thing is I don't know how many people know what doing post sound is like. I mean, hopefully you guys all do, but if you're not experienced or not in that, I actually had a team of 6 people. Most 48s I don't think have that. I had 2 guys doing Foley. I had another guy doing sound effects. I was cutting dialogue and backgrounds, and I had a mixer we were handing him things and he was mixing. So I was a sound supervisor, so I was controlling all of that. So I almost have my own little set at the studio where I am doing the same sort of stuff you guys are all talking about. And a lot of it's really like setting like kind of really clear roles makes that really easy for people to then work within their, like what their role is. And it gives them like a real clear task. It's when you start pulling other directions or people aren't sure what they're going to be doing next, that really raises people's anxiety, and I think that can be a good way to kind of control that. I mean, when you're on a smaller team, it's tough though, and that's like, for me, I wouldn't want to be on a team where I'm the only person doing sound, because it's too many things, and we don't get enough time ever. Even with a big team, we don't get enough time. So I feel like I wouldn't want to do it by myself, because then now I'm going, all right, I got to jump to this thing and I got to jump to that thing. And it's that anxiety of, oh, well, now I'm going to the dialogue and the dialogue's a mess. How do I make this work? Oh, now I got to go over here and try to find the sound effect for the football, or, and it's like you're getting pulled multiple places. And if you don't have a clear plan or clear roles, that just makes it worse for sure.
Well, with these last 10 minutes we've got here together in this time, I guess we want to throw it out as far as, favorite part about the 48 for everyone, why you guys keep coming back, what you're excited about with your teams moving forward. I guess we'll go around the room again. Yeah.
I'll start with
Yeah.
Great. I mean, I think my favorite thing was just getting to work with the other creative people that I worked with, or that we worked with, and make something that, I mean, to this day, we made this 5 years ago and we're still talking about it, so that to me is really special. It's like we spent 2 days making something that changed our lives like forever. Like, our film was lucky enough to get selected to go to the Cannes Film Festival, and a big group of us like went to Europe and like hung out together and like walked around the street and like smoked cigarettes, like that is crazy. Like, it fully like had a real impact on our lives. So I think, yeah, the filmmaking aspect of it was really cool. Seeing myself on screen with words coming out of my mouth
was crazy.
That was
really nuts.
Like, that is cool, but there's something like so special about getting to create, there's just like an energy that exists within the 48 that it's hard to recreate anywhere else that has continued to like carry us and will. I mean, this film is like the first thing that we ever made together, and we plan on doing this for the rest of our lives. So the fact that this is like, we can look at this as our starting point of our narrative filmmaking career and still be proud of it. Because most of my work, I look back and I'm like, bleh, no, thank you. But this is something I can like watch with a group and like not cringe. And that's like, it's an impossible feat, you know? So I think just the people I connected with, Seth and I getting to like, you know, obviously we grew up together and like dreaming about this stuff, being homeschooled and like actually
shooting
getting
home
to
videos. And yeah, I mean, it feels so magical to like watch it again, because it's like, wow, we were in a kind of a dark place with like owning a production company together, and like the other guy we were working with, it all just kind of fell apart. And we were like, damn it, like we haven't made anything creative like ever together, and we just need to freaking do it. So it felt like such a fun practice to just like, you know, work the effort muscle and just be like, let's just try to be creative as possible. And it really like the childlike wonder kind of was reinserted back into our filmmaking lives.
Nice. I love that. Kimmy?
Yeah, I think the 48, I just love how it makes you creative through its restrictions. Nicole had touched on it earlier, but when you just have endless possibilities, it's really hard to focus on one thing. And I think the 48, with its time frame and the line of dialogue, the prop, everything, just it's really cool to see what you can actually do. And as a newer person in the film community, like I haven't done a lot of projects, so seeing that you can make something very cool in 48 hours, that just opens up a whole world to me. And it's so fun to see everybody's end products. I love going to the screenings, like the award ceremony. It's so fun. So that's been a really, really cool part of this for me.
I like sort of building your community. You know, I mean, I knew I wanted to work with Kimmy, and so I made that happen. If you're a producer, you can pick people, pull people to you that you want to work with. If you're an actor or a sound guy or DP, you can make yourself available like you're doing today to put yourself on a team, meet other people, and build your community. And I think that's the best part for me.
Fallon?
I feel like hopefully a lot of you can connect with me on this, that like on the one hand, I am a lifelong chronic procrastinator, and on the other hand, I'm a horrible perfectionist, and the two do not meet in the middle well, where it's like, am I finished with this? I don't know if I finished with this. It's like always that like, it's never done, it's never finished. And so I find with the 48, it's like, I literally can't be precious about the project or about the choices. It's just like, you have to do it. And also it's that feeling where like, I think I was telling Sarah, like, it's the night before the essay is due and you have to turn it in. And so it feeds into that mad dash finish while also not being able to be precious with your choices. And I think that that's where a lot of creativity comes and magic is made and things get created. And you just go, oh, wow, I had no idea that I had the capability or that I would enjoy this thing as much as I did. And I think the 48 is perfect for that. It kind of forces you to do the work and not be precious about it.
For me, I think being able to watch people and myself like just branch out into things that you wouldn't otherwise be comfortable doing. I started in this business in makeup and watching and being like, I want to direct. And I'm like, oh, this is actually a really safe place for me to do that. One, I don't have to pay people, which is cool. But also, it's a safe place to fail, because if you have a team that you trust, they're gonna help you anyway. And like, I have learned so much about the process of making a film and getting to see it all happen in such a small amount of time. It's like a crash course in a lot of ways. So if you don't know about a certain facet of the industry, like you can watch it in the 48 if you just go, hey, I'm gonna show up, and they're like, cool, I'm doing this, so I can't even help you. But it's really cool to just have a space that is, yeah, like I said, safe, and it pushes you to be kind of afraid in a good way, a good afraid. Yeah.
I had Boy, I directed a lot of music videos, and I'd spent about a decade in, like, firmly rooted in the Nashville music world. And the DP I'd worked with a lot had done the 48 quite a bit. Mike White, Mike's what did ours, and then when the pandemic hit and everything sort of stopped, I knew I'd wanted to do narrative for a long time, so I used that 2 years, year and a half to read and learn and do everything I possibly could to learn narrative and writing and directing and camera. And then Mike hit me up in 21 to do the 48, and I was like, yeah, let's try that. And that was actually the first script and narrative thing I directed, and then we won with it. And I met Seth. I met so many people that are now very close friends, and that spawned my narrative film career, and that's what I've been doing for the last 2 years. And I do think it's a really good opportunity to go in that direction or solidify something, and to echo what you all have said, that at the end of the 48 hours, like, you have a film in the can, and you don't have to think about it from that moment on, because you can't change anything. And I think there's something really, really nice to be said about that. Like, there's no more stress and you're done. And then there's also, I really want to say, so in that film, the pruning film, one of my favorite things, there's a part where Ali literally breaks down the plot to Ocean's 11. And like, not everyone catches that, and putting those things in are one of my favorite things in the entire world, that was literally his dialogue. And like, some people will laugh and some people don't, and I find so much joy in those Easter eggs in films. So that's it.
Nice. For me, I think the 48's interesting because it doesn't matter like how good you are at your job, it will always challenge you. Like, because I like to think I'm good at what I do, but I'm also in this moment of this time constraint, and like, not having as much pre-production as you would maybe want to be able to do. And now you have to make something still great, hopefully, right? Hopefully that's what we come out and going, yeah, that's great. We love it. And there's always going to be things we can do better, but it teaches you what your failings are, right? Like, oh, I could be faster at this thing, or I could be faster at that thing. I think it's like a great learning experience. And then, as almost everybody has said, like, the networking aspect of it. I mean, you're going to make new friends, and you're going to know, like, oh, I can call this person about this thing or that thing. And you hopefully have a group of people now that you can call for real projects that make you money or make them money. And I think that's a really exciting thing, because you see who's good, and sometimes you figure out who you don't want to work with too. But hopefully it's mostly
names.
Good. Yeah, I mean, the 48 really is so special, and it feels magical, specifically in Nashville, because I think that Nashville has such a special creative community. And it's cool to hear all of you talk about how much you've done after the 48, right? Because yes, it's fun to do it and to go to the screenings and to go to the awards shows, but like, at the end of the day, it is a creative exercise in building this community, and it's really makes my heart happy. So it's really cool.
I agree. Well, we want to thank you guys all for being here and for screening the film. We want to thank NECAT for putting this all together. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Signing off.